Welcome to episode 3 of the Off the Rails podcast. I'm your beautiful host, Caleb Graham, and I'm joined in studio by a good buddy, Graham Janusik. Janusik. I knew we talked about it 3 seconds ago, and I already messed it up.
It's all good.
But actually, you're actually a special guest. I cut to you before I did all my intro stuff, so
well, hey,
you're part of a very small circle at this point.
Sweet.
Actually, you're the only one in it right now.
Hey, I'd rather be number 1 than number 0.
But okay, before we get into it with you, I want to talk a little bit about our giveaways. You're giving away some stuff on our podcast.
I am. I'll be doing just a giveaway of a goodie bag up to $25. I'll have stickers, decals, different lures that I make, and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll have all that up on that day when this comes out. So,
right.
Hey, it'll be worth it.
Yeah.
Trust me. So he'll have everything. So just watch his page and watch mine, and we'll go from there on that.
Right. And so how that's going to work is in the description of this podcast, in the description of the YouTube video, you'll see some clips on Facebook where you can do it too. You'll be able to go and sign up at the gleam.io link. There'll be tons of ways to enter. It's free to enter, so you don't have to pay anything. Usually it's going to be something like go watch the podcast, go look at our Facebook page, go check out Graham's fishing page. So there's a lot of different ways to enter, and it's completely free. If you want to do that, you can pause the podcast right now and go do that, and then we'll still be here waiting on you. We'll give you a second. All right, that's all you get. Good job. All right, so Graham, let's get into it a little bit.
What's up?
Let's talk a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what you're planning to do.
So my name's Graham Janusik.
There we go.
Okay, I know Caleb, messed that up, but so I'm from southeastern Ohio. I was born and raised in Caldwell, Ohio. Recently, 4 years ago, I moved up here to Cambridge and started working. Still currently work in oil and gas, so a lot of my time is spent working, but I'm hoping to change that here. I got a 5-year business plan. And,
cool.
Hopefully get out of that and get away from that, but definitely it's been a whirlwind of my life. I've fished my entire life, so we'll go ahead and get into that. I've fished my entire life.
Really?
I've caught bluegill, catfish, bass, crappie, perch. Just the southeastern
question.
Ohio stuff. All right, what do you got?
Have you caught a piranha?
No.
I have.
When?
I went to South America.
Well,
You haven't caught one in Seneca Lake?
No, absolutely not.
So that's probably the only thing I'll be able to be like, oh, look, I did. Other than that, I'm a horrible fisher.
Well,
I want to get good at it. So maybe you could help me out today.
well, I could. I very well could. You're more than welcome to come out on the boat with me at any time. I know it's wintertime now, so the lakes around here.
Wait, we can go ice fishing.
I've never done that.
Now, I went ice. I don't know.
You went ice fishing?
I don't know. I thought I was a pretty terrible fisher, but maybe I'm one of those guys that does stuff, but it doesn't. You're the one out there catching the fish. I'm the one that's like, oh, I did it. I think we caught one cat. It was actually Clewell was with me. We caught one catfish. Clewell's not here. I pointed over there. He's not here. So, but we went ice fishing, I think 2 years ago, back when it was super cold. We went to Seneca Lake. We didn't even have an auger or anything. We just we
chiseled away.
Well, no, we thought about that. We were like, maybe we could chisel. We're like, well, what if we fall in or something stupid? And so we sat around, we waited because there was a bunch of people out there, and we waited till someone left, and we just took their hole.
Nice. And I've never been ice fishing. I think it would be fun, but
it is, but it's cold.
Well, yeah.
But no, it's fine. But the one thing, it was so cold that day we went. We caught a fish, and I pulled my phone out to take a picture of it. We got the picture.
And your phone.
It died within 10 seconds. I've seen them die in 2 minutes or so, where it's too. But you would pull it out. You couldn't call. If you had to call someone, you couldn't do it unless it was in your entire
jacket,
outfit, right? So it was it was negative something. But it was a very cold day. I think it was 2019. I'm pretty sure it was either 2019 or 18. But So tell me a little bit about actual fishing, outside of walking on ice and having people help you in South America.
Well, I've like I said, I fished my whole life, and last year was the first year that I actually got serious with tournament fishing.
Okay.
I got a John boat. I was actually what you would call a co-angler on a buddy of mine's boat, and we'd fished a couple times, a couple tournaments. Didn't do all that bad, but didn't do all that great. We weren't in the money, but we weren't so far. We weren't last place.
You're going to go to another tournament.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Once you're hooked, and that's the thing with tournament fishing is it takes a lot of work.
Oh.
I mean, it's Monday through Friday, thinking fishing, talking about fishing, working on fishing stuff like your tackle. Because I myself have a John boat now that I just put a casting deck on. I just revamped it. So I'll be using that this year by myself. So that'll be fun.
So what are some of the upfront costs of getting into tournament fish? I mean, obviously there's probably a lot of repetitive costs too.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
Just to get started, what's someone looking at to get started?
To get
equipment, money-wise.
Well, equipment. I've seen old guys, the older gentlemen with $30 Zebco reels will outfish a 28-year-old with the brand new Abu Garcia rods and reels and stuff.
See, that's me. I'm the
You're the old style.
Well, no, I'm the new.
Oh, okay.
I've got, I was real into fishing, that's air quotes for everyone that's listening and not watching. A couple years ago, probably 3 or 4, maybe 2, and I was I was a gear guy. I was one of those guys I want this and this.
Right.
I had an Abu Garcia bait caster and all this stuff. Didn't know how to use it. I was horrible with it, but I felt
takes
cool.
I've never. 2 years ago is when I picked up a bait caster reel, and I was bird's nest, rat's nest, every cast, and I was like, I don't know how to use this thing, so I took to YouTube and learned it from YouTube, and I've caught
Power
on
YouTube. That's
there's a bunch of stuff on YouTube, myself including.
Yeah. What's your channel?
So my channel is Janusik Fishing. It's my last name and then just fishing. And I haven't posted anything probably in a couple months, but just because I've been busy.
Because of Clewell, he won't edit that video.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. I got software now. So it's Janusik Fishing, and I post I had a couple tournament prep videos. I have just farm pond fishing videos. Fishing. I fished this past summer. A buddy of mine has an old fish hatchery, and loaded with big largemouth bass. And so I posted a couple videos from there. And if you can't tell, I'm a bass fisherman. So I fish for solely bass. Now I'll catch catfish, or I broke a reel or a rod on a muskie. Yeah, that's a whole nother story we can get into. But I've got things like that on there, catching largemouth bass. My current PB, let's just knock on wood here, that I'm able to either keep it or break it this year. I mean, I'll keep it forever, but hopefully I can break it 7 pounds.
Okay.
So it's not ginormous, it's not a double-digit bass, but it's not a 2 pound.
Right. It's not the ones I'm pulling out of the water.
Exactly. Exactly.
So we're going to go everywhere.
It's all good.
You probably watched a little bit of the first one. We'll bounce around because my mind bounces around. But
you're not.
I got you off of the upfront costs of getting into it because I said something.
So the upfront for tournament fishing, the upfront costs, you're probably tournament fees, I know, and membership fees and stuff. Like the group that I'm a part of, I know the membership fee is $20, and then it's $80 a tournament. So you're looking at upfront, that first tournament's $100.
Yeah.
And then it's $80 after.
Okay, so how, like you said, group, how does the group stuff work? Like, are you part of a group that hosts tournaments?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's actually not they're not continuing it this year. It's called Guernsey County Bass Association.
Okay.
So they hold tournaments at like Salt Fork and Seneca and Tappan, the local lakes around here. But they're actually not continuing it, that group this year. So I'm going to be trying to find another one. So
yeah, and now do you guys work as is it a team thing where
So
you go
can.
in and
So each tournament, it's person versus person.
okay.
And then like you can have a max of 2 people. So you can have yourself and a partner in a boat. And then you go fish all year. And then they just started it, I don't know, maybe 2015 or 16, I think. Is county versus county. So we've got Guernsey County against like Tuscaroras County, and then like Marietta, Washington County, different clubs. It's a club versus club tournament almost. That's basically what it is, club versus club. And so they hold that at the end of the year, and like you'll have one group, and that'll have all the clubs at one lake. So like you'll have one boater from each club at Salt Fork, one boater from each club at Tappan. So then they compete that way, and like it's a bunch of awards. I didn't go to it this year, but it's still, I mean, I'll go back. The upfront cost it's expensive with equipment, and you know, I'm prone to losing things. So I'll throw a lure into the trees, snap my line, you know, $4 lure that, you know, I liked. It's lost now. It's in the trees or whatever. So as far as upfront costs, it can be expensive with the gear, the poles, and, you know, but you can also go that cheaper route. They work just the same. They're just not as fancy.
Right. And that's, just like me. I'm the same thing. I'm just not as fancy.
Just not as fancy.
But now talking on lures still, you know, I will go out. I don't know what to use, when to use it.
Yep.
And that might even go along with some of the tournament fishing. Let's start with that. What kind of prep are you doing for tournaments? You know, is there certain weather you're hoping you get?
Absolutely.
You know, like talk through some of that.
So like the tournament day, I'm looking. Most tournaments are Saturdays or Sundays, depending on the club you're in. So I'm looking from Monday to Saturday. The weather, the temperature is huge. The water temperature is huge. The water temperature is probably your biggest factor in finding fish. Because if it's colder, they're going to be deeper. If it's warmer, they're going to be up shallow in shade. So tournament prep is pretty much all week leading up to the tournament. And then the day of, I've found it that I don't prep lures and stuff until the day before, because I've seen it where the last tournament I fished, it said it was going to be like 30 degrees at night the night before, and then it was supposed to only get up to like 50. So then our water temperature was around 40 to 50 degrees. And then it ended up changing the night before, and it was like 60 degrees high and then a 40 degree low. So then everything changed, and it was like, well, now I got to put all this stuff together. And so I find it, because a lot of guys will prep all week. They'll throw, maybe it's going to be 40, 50 degrees. They'll throw these lures. They'll throw, you know, the colder, or it's going to be 60, 70. They'll throw those in their boat.
So what are some of those? Like if it's colder, what am I wanting to use versus warmer weather? So
colder, the fish are going to be more lethargic. They're going to be less likely to bite something that's moving fast. So they're going to be very slow, and you want to throw something like a jig, and it's about yay big, and I mean they have micro jigs too, so smaller fish can bite it, but you want to throw something slow. You want to walk it slow, especially like colder weather. You want to do that, colder water temps, and then the warmer temps, you want to throw something like a spinner bait, something that's got a lot of movement, a lot of vibration. Those fish will attack it more.
Okay.
So it varies,
right? Yeah, and then it probably matters by fish too.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, absolutely. So. You know, and I'm not claiming to be an expert. I don't. You know, this is just what works for me.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, definitely the water temperature is key when it's tournament prep.
Okay.
And learning different and learning the fish, the way they move, especially like I call Salt Fork my home lake, and it's not a huge bass lake, so it's more of a musky lake. So you have to find pockets, and that's another thing with tournament prep is knowing the lake.
Yeah.
So
that's I'll let you go. I wanted to get into that too. So.
Yeah. So and you have to spend time on those lakes just to know where to go, when to go, what time of the day to go. And I learned that this year because I was like, oh, I'm all gung ho. I'm going to go here. We mapped out a plan. We didn't catch a single fish until like the last hour of the tournament. We caught 2 fish.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say was we've got Salt Fork, Seneca, Tappan. Do you go down into Noble County any? Down to Wolf Run?
I did when I was younger. I haven't fished Wolf Run in 10, 15 years maybe.
Okay. But what are some of, now you don't have to give away your secret spots, right?
See, I don't have secret spots.
Okay. Well then, listen up, folks, right? Give us like 5, like if we're at Salt Fork, if we're at Seneca, what are some like good spots to be at? Docks
are definitely key.
And for even certain fish, if you have...
Right, well, I mean...
Or are you more bass?
I'm more bass. I'll catch anything, to be honest. I'll catch anything, but my main focus is bass. So definitely around docks and down trees. Fish, just any kind of fish really likes a down tree. It's a safe space for them. And then, so docks, trees, rock walls. I know there's a crap ton at Salt Fork. There's rock. So those are the 3 key things.
Kind of the main things you want to look for.
Right. Yep.
And now what about like onshore versus like boat stuff? Like if I'm out.
Oh, it's totally different.
That's what I figured.
It is totally different.
What are some of those differences?
Just the availability, the key way to the deeper water. If you're fishing a super, super hot day, those fish might be a little lower in the water column just because it is a little cooler. So they might be a little deeper, whereas if it's not as hot, they might be up just a little shallower, where as a bank fisherman, you can catch the shallower fish.
Yeah.
But with a boat, you just have more mobility going all around the lake.
You can go anywhere.
Yeah. So that's the big key thing. And then just like, I like a boat just because I unload it and go, load it and leave,
Right.
With being a bank fisherman, you got to walk down the bank. You got to unload your gear, load your gear into the truck. It's a pain. With a boat, you just throw everything in the boat, unload the boat, go out and fish, come back, load the boat, and go home.
Make it sound easy.
It's not easy, but it's this year I've definitely learned backing a trailer, putting a boat in the water, pulling a boat out of the water. It's definitely has been a big learning years and like I said, I've taken this year, 2020 was my first real, I took it serious.
Okay.
And I like I said, fished all my entire life, but didn't realize that there is money, and there is a lot of money in fishing. Yeah.
So what are some of these prize pools looking like? If probably depends obviously by tournament, but what's like if that was something you wanted to get into, like say there's a high school kid or so, what's a good first step for them to get into the tournament side of things, or even and I know we don't have what like a lot of the other schools down south have. They have fishing teams. Mm-hmm. They have bass fishing teams, and which would be awesome to start at, like Meadowbrook or Buckeye Trail, Caldwell, Shenandoah, Cambridge, even a bass club. There'll probably be a few people listening that can help you get in there.
That would be pretty awesome. I would love to do that, but definitely.
We're still in the first 20 minutes, so they're still listening. we get to that first. We get through the first hour, and then it just goes downhill. Hey, it's all right though. Well, that's when you start talking about the fun stuff, right? Right, exactly. Yeah, you keep them listening. Oh yeah. But definitely, like kids, like if they want to get into this, the key thing is just to learn. Go out. If you've got a buddy that's got a boat, go out on the boat with them. And I know a lot of kids around here will go fishing or go out on a boat with their parents, and they're like, "This is lame. I don't want to do this." But trust me, like it helps. It helps. Just knowing water, how to navigate the water, is big. But then, like with fishing, it just takes time. It's practice, it's time, and time management in tournament fishing is huge. Yeah. And now, what time are these things starting? Are they safe light? So in the summer, like springtime, they'll start around 7. Okay.
in the morning, and you'll fish till 3. You have to be back at the dock by 3. And then, when it gets lighter earlier, they'll start at 6. So it's kind of, it varies by tournament, safe light, fog, things like that. They'll have fog delays if it's too foggy. And I did a tournament at Salt Fork, and I thought we were going to die.
Were you out in the fog?
Oh yeah, and it was thick fog. You couldn't see. You couldn't see from me to you. And I think we're 10 feet away.
Maybe. Well, at least 6.
At least,
is what we're telling
absolutely.
people, right?
Well, we are 6 feet. Social distance.
We don't need our plexiglass up because I can't spit on you. Basically, is
no.
Well, if I tried.
No, but it definitely scared me that day because it was thick fog, and I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do this. This is not fun. But then parts of the lake weren't fog, and the
just
ski
where
areas.
You were, basically. It just kind of hovered around you.
Yeah. But the ski areas of Salt Fork were fog, so we couldn't go. But we were going 20, 25 miles an hour at times, and it was sketchy. But I enjoyed it. After we got out of the ski zone,
how'd you do in that tournament?
28th out of 60.
Yeah.
So
still good.
Not in the money, but not out completely. Yeah.
If
we we caught 1 fish that day. It was a tough day.
What's an average? How many fish are
5? 5
is that the average?
So and that's most tournaments, but a lot of tournaments around here are 4, and then they have fish limits.
Exactly.
So they have I know the club that I fished in was you had to have 2 under, 2 over. So you could have 2 fish from 12 inches to 15 inches, and then 2 fish from 15 and over.
Okay.
So you had a 4 fish limit, a bag limit, but 2 under, 2 over.
So when you're saying under, size wise, but what does that is there a reason for why can't all your fish just be 17,000 inches long?
I wish it'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Is it lake limits? Is that why?
It's based on the lake, and it's based on the state. Because I know tournaments in on Lake Gunther'sville in Alabama, they're 12 to and 12 inches and up.
Okay.
And you can catch 5 fish, and then South Carolina it's 15 and up. And then I think Tennessee is 13 or something. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure, but I know it varies by state.
I'm going to take it. I'm going to quote it.
I wish.
This would be the headline of the video.
Oh, please don't.
But yeah, okay, that's pretty cool. I'd like to get into that at some point. I don't know when. I don't know if I even have time, but
hey,
right.
And that's important too, is time. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of time, and it's taken me a lot of time to get where I've got.
Yeah. And now talk a little bit more about your business.
So my business is G's Custom Lures. I got a business card here in my pocket.
Hold it up there. Might autofocus on it.
It might.
It's out of the light.
It's out of the light?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's all right. We'll put it up there.
It's all good.
Most of them are listening on audio anyway.
Right. They don't listen to the video. They don't watch the video.
I can't see that.
Right. So my business is called G's Custom Lures, and I just started it in October.
Okay.
And I had the idea for about a year, and I wasn't real sure because I know the market is huge. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of big companies, and there's small companies, but it's something we don't have around here.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we do, but it's not
prevalent.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the word. So I make soft plastic fishing lures, and I have 4 different styles. So I have a beaver crawl, a beaver bug style. I have a crawl style, a paddle tail swim bait style, and then a Senko worm style. So, and you can find all those on my website, different color variations. The big hit so far has been a caramel apple, and that's really what sold the best as so far. So I do need to make more of those. They're still on the website. They're still in stock, but I need to make more of those. It's just like a brown, like a caramel apple color, and then it's got a red and silver flake to it.
Okay, and what's the website?
My website is gs-customlures.com. custom-lures at myshopify.com.
Link in description.
Yeah, we'll have all that in the description.
We'll put that in there. That'll be a little. They're probably driving, they're like, I want to buy some lures. Writing it down while texting, whatever.
Yeah,
right?
they'll text and drive and look at my website while they're driving. Hey, it's all right.
Yeah,
but I don't condone that.
We don't condone it, but if you do it, we won't shun you.
Nah.
What about going into different seasons? So I know with lakes, the little knowledge I do have on lakes, is there something called turnover, where water, it's getting colder, but it's like real warm at the bottom. But then Clewell, he used to talk about it all the time. If he was here, he'd be going nuts right now.
I'm sure.
So is there like a certain time of year that's probably, I'm guessing summer, but I have no idea. Yeah, see, exactly. So like anyone that doesn't know, what's the best time of year to go out? Springtime.
So pretty much March 1st, depending on, like I know in Ohio here, March 1st is when they really start to thaw the lakes. Then you get a few cold days where you might have like a 1/10 of an inch of ice on top. But March 1st until summer.
Okay.
And that's when your bass are coming out of hibernation. Your fish, all of the fish are coming out of hibernation and they're hungry. So they're going to be eating anything and everything. And then the same with fall. So summer is kind of in the middle. It's a hit and miss. Like certain days it'll feel like fall or spring and they'll want to eat. But then, like I said, fall, they're going to go into hibernation. So they want to eat. They want to fatten up, put it as much. And that's when you see a lot of the big fish are caught, as in the fall. You get more quantity in the spring. Like for tournament fishing, quantity is great. If you catch your limit by 10 o'clock, then you can just keep catching fish and then just go up from there. But I know it's harder in the fall because you've got big fish, feeding and trying to move up, move into hibernation. So those two seasons are your best seasons to actually like catch fish. Summer, like I said, it's hit and miss. But spring and fall.
Okay.
And I'll be doing a bunch of stuff here. Come springtime, I know my business is going to take off, and at least I hope it does.
Right. We'll have to run some ad campaigns for you.
That'll work.
Get all your business integrations up on all the different websites. But what? I just had a point. What was it? What? So you said you've been fishing your whole life, or you've been what? If you've been doing it since you remember, essentially, I don't know.
Yeah.
What got you into that? Who would have been an inspiration in that, or like what piqued your interest in fishing?
When I was younger, it was probably my grandfather. I would say because we would go to the lake or we'd go to Wolf Run. And my grandfather was huge. Like he was always wanting us to do something, be involved in something. He passed away here the February of 2020. So it's been kind of hard, kind of rough on us, the last end, the holidays and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Right through
So he passed away in February, but like I said, with my business and stuff, I'd had that idea for a year, and he just kept saying, "Run with it, do it."
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, October, I was like, I'm just gonna do it. Just bought everything, and I'm working hard, running as much as I can, doing as much as I can. But
that's cool.
He's definitely, if he didn't see us doing something, he would help us do something. He would make us do something.
Okay.
He was very big into basketball, so.
Good segue.
He's very big into basketball, or was big into basketball, and he would always, hey, you want to go to a basketball game? It didn't matter if it was Caldwell, Matterbrook, Shenandoah. It was, hey, you want to go to a basketball game? Sure.
Right.
And I remember 2018, it was basketball season. We went Meadowbrook game at Cambridge. It was their tournament game. I can't remember who they were playing. Claymont, I think.
Maybe.
It was at Cambridge, and my grandpa at the time, he was still sick, but I said, "Hey, you want to go to a basketball game?" And he just perked right up.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool because like that was my last kind of memory that I had, something I did with him, was we went to a basketball game.
That's cool.
So, he's always been there and supported me with anything that I've ever done. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start this business. I'm going to do, because what would he want me to do? Would he want me to just say, oh, you could have done that? He's always wanting me to work. So I figure I'll put more on my plate and make it work.
You can never have too much.
No.
At least that's what I've learned so far. I'm sure it'll get to a point where it's like,
this is
a lot. But
right.
So far, so good. But that's awesome. Speaking of basketball, we're in basketball season.
We are.
Actually, by this time, let's see. No, it won't be. There'll still be games going on. Yeah, they've got games into mid-February, so we're good on that. But you actually filmed some stuff with us for football season.
I did, yeah.
How was that?
That was fun. I enjoyed that. It was definitely a learning experience.
Yeah.
Big camera. I'm used to using my phone to film a YouTube video, or I had a camera at one time. It wasn't that great that I used to film some stuff for my YouTube channel, which when you were like, hey, does anybody want to help us? I was like, well, heck yeah. I like to film. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. So I worked Buckeye Trail for you, a couple games for them. I enjoyed it. I loved learning it.
You got to go to more high school football games than a lot of people did.
Yeah. My wife was jealous.
Yeah.
I was
she
like,
could have
hey,
came and held your umbrella.
Yeah, the one game, was it Indian Valley and Buckeye Trail? They got rained out, that monsoon. The big storm we had. Yeah, that was sketchy driving home. they rained it out. But
what were some things that you didn't expect or thought, oh, that's kind of, I never would have even thought of that when you started doing the video stuff with us?
Just the setup and the work that goes into it. I mean, you guys put a lot of work into videoing and making it look really good, and I'm glad I got to be, a part of it.
Yeah.
It was awesome, and I learned a lot.
Oh, and when you're not working, you'll still be a part of it.
Well, yeah.
We'll get you back out there one way or another.
Hey, I'm game, so.
But yeah, so I think that's a good point. I don't think people realize, they get to see an end product.
Oh yeah.
So it's
from start to finish.
Yeah.
The whole idea of it was, I was scared. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
You gave me a rundown on the camera and said, roll with it.
Well, and that was the interesting part about this year. Last year we had 2 teams.
Right.
Me and Ethan, we could go to games and film them. This year, usually what you like to do is have your preseason games, have your scrimmages.
And we couldn't.
Where you can take people and teach them, But we had 3 schools, and so it ended up being, well, we can't go practice. I have to show you basically everything in the studio and hope you can figure it out. And it was a tough learning curve, but I think it worked out as good as it could, given the circumstances.
Absolutely.
Because even anywhere else you go, you're going to get a boot camp. You're going to be on the ground.
Yep.
You're going to be at a game, and so really, it kind of worked out with us doing photo too, because we could
you
be
were
at
there,
some games and be like, hey, stand here. This is where you want to be. But yeah, I mean, especially just with the way things were this year.
Yeah, and that was another thing that I learned, because in most of my YouTube videos, I don't have B-roll.
Yeah.
On none of them. Because I didn't know video production and stuff like that until I started working with you on that. So I was like, dang, okay, I can take this and do this in my videos, and I can do this. And that's all something that you taught me, which will hopefully help grow my YouTube.
Right. Yeah, and that's a big thing with a video is you want to make sure, you have your main story or whatever it is.
Right.
Even with this, I guess the podcast style, there's not really any B-roll just because it's just a conversation.
Snippets.
But anything cinematic, or even if you're just making YouTube videos for, vlogs, whatever that might be, B-roll is basically, for people that don't know, is your extra footage. So you have your A-roll, which I didn't go to school for this. I'm assuming that's what your main footage is called. It would make sense, and if it doesn't, we're putting that in a dictionary because that makes sense. But your B-roll is basically the second footages you have to fill time between your A shots. So, if you watch any of our stuff, you'll see a lot of like pregame stuff. So we're filling, that's B-roll. You're getting some stuff before the game, getting cleats, getting helmets, getting footballs, getting the stadium, anything that's not the actual game being played for us is B-roll basically.
Right.
So, you know, even some of the locker room stuff is B-roll. If we're going to the locker rooms, getting different things.
Couldn't get that.
Not this year, right? We try to stay out of the locker rooms with COVID and everything, but you know, that's what makes a video different. You know, it keeps people watching. Whereas like this
Absolutely.
podcast stuff, you almost have to be you're committing to it.
Right.
Whereas high school videos, you know, even the live streams, you're a fan or something, you're committing to watching that.
Right.
Whereas a high school highlight tape, a vlog on YouTube, something you're watching for fun basically that
Right.
you have no invested interest in. B-roll is really important because you want to make sure people are sticking around watching your video.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what, it's not the only thing that matters, but it does help at the beginning of videos, especially when it matters because you're trying to hook your audience in. It helps to have different shots, different little quick cuts, because then they're not sitting there watching the same static shot for too long.
Right, right. And I learned that, you know, definitely you're going to help me with that. Definitely just getting everything you can, every little thing, because in the end, you're going to say, oh man, I didn't get that, or I didn't get this. And you're going to be like, well, my video's crap now.
Right. And that's, you know, that's something to think about when you're filming too, is, you know, especially if you're doing anything for us on the field or in a court or anything, and this for anyone. So if you're looking for work, we're probably going to need people. So hit me up. But you're always looking for a shot. You're never just standing around doing nothing. So, you know, obviously when the game's going on, you're filming every single play. But outside of that, you know, between plays, you're looking for players on the sidelines, running to the sidelines, high five. And
I got run over.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, that's definitely, and that's another thing, like, especially like with fishing videos, is you got to get every single cast. Because, you know, if you
never
don't.
know. That's how football is, you know. You'd love to just sit and only film the touchdowns,
Right.
but you don't know when that's happening.
Right,
So you're,
right.
you know, and we almost play it the same way, where if our team or whoever we're filming is on offense, you know, like I've told you, we like to be downfield from them in the hopes that they're going to either get a big play, they're going to score, and you're on the right end of that play.
Right.
Now, if the other team, you know, they come up, tackle someone, and they fumble the ball, oh, you missed it, but that's not your team, right?
That's what Zoom's for.
Yeah, and we can zoom pretty well too. But sometimes it's different if your team's on defense.
Right.
Typically, you always want to be downfield from the offensive side. So, and this is, basketball is a little different. You're just basically standing on your team's end, unless you're filming both, but that's another story. But for football, you always want to be downfield from the offense so that you're always getting those big plays from and you miss a few on defense, but that's when, say your team is on defense, but they're at like their own 30.
Right.
That's when you can be behind the plays. You can get some of those sacks and stuff, because the chances of them scoring all the way from the other 30 is very slim. So
it happens, but it's slim.
Right. And so anything inside of that, you know, you're going to be getting any forced fumbles, any sacks, so you're getting some of that stuff that you wouldn't get if you were just only playing. So you're almost playing a game of odds. You know, what's your percentage that this is going to happen? So there's so much that goes into it that you don't really think about until you're doing it. And you really got to, you know, pay attention to things like that. But it's something that, like, you don't realize until you're out there doing it, is you're constantly on.
Yep.
And now what kind of work are you going back into? So you got a new job coming?
Yeah. So I'll actually, when this comes out, I'll be working there.
Oh yeah. Never mind. You're already,
So it's the same thing that I was doing before. It's just a better schedule, better, you know, more money to fund my business.
Right.
And that's another like thing too, is I'm not 100% with my business, and I'm not 100% into fishing. It takes time that, you know, you have to have a constant revenue.
Oh yeah.
And so I still have my day job. You know, don't quit your day job.
Yeah. Till you can.
Till you can.
Then you can.
Until you can, then you can. So that was another thing is like my wife and I, she's a school teacher in public education, which is crazy right now. But her and I, we've kind of talked, and it's like, you know, I have a 5-year business plan, what I want to do, when I want to do it. By year 3, this, we'll go in. Her and I had talked about it, and it's plausible. It's very, very plausible. It's very possible to get a storefront.
Oh yeah.
Here in Cambridge, or I don't want to go into a whole lot of details, but come springtime, I'll be in some different places.
Bass Pro.
I wish, man. I wish. That's like the end goal with fishing lures is to get into the stores, get into the Walmart, Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's, what is it? The Gander Mountain.
Oh yeah.
That's another.
There's
big
one in Reynoldsburg, I think.
Yeah.
But I guess my point with that would be, as a business owner, you probably have already learned a little bit, but you're always on.
Always.
There's, like, I have friends that have really, some have hard jobs. They're hard, but it's more, you're working long hours, and that sucks.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, with my day job, like, I work 10, 12 hours a day, and then I come home and I still have to work.
Yeah.
I'm still making product. Because everything is hand packaged and poured right here in Cambridge. I don't send anything out. I don't send,
You're not getting it off the Alibaba.
Nope.
Not from China.
Nope. Everything is hand packaged and poured right here in Guernsey County, and then I've shipped, outside of Ohio, and so that's kind of nice. It's just learning business in general, and it's like, okay, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Am I up for it?
Right. And it tends to pay off.
It's paying off. Like, don't get me wrong. My sales are pretty good.
Good.
And that was another thing, is like a bunch of my friends, and I'm not dissing my friends, I have friends, but they always want something. They want this for free. They want that. They want, they don't want to pay this. They don't want to pay that. And it's like, okay, I'm trying to run a legitimate business, and I'm trying to make a name for myself. And I can't just give deals to everybody, or else I'm not making any money. So that's what I've had to learn too, is just, okay, I can't give, this guy a deal and then not this guy, or it's just cut it out completely.
Well, and you'll learn. And I guess the good thing with what I do is we work more with businesses, with schools.
Right.
So we don't have a lot of that. Right. And don't get me wrong, I like doing stuff for free. You can probably tell by my pricing. It's rather affordable. But
that's another thing with me too, is all of my stuff is $4 or $5 cheaper than your big stores. It's the same product. They have different ways of making their lures and stuff, but it's the same thing. But mine's just cheaper. Mm-hmm. So, and I pride myself on that. I'm cheaper than your big box. Right. And all my products have been product tested. I've got a fish on every one of them, except for one I just released. I caught a fish, but it got off towards the bank, so it bit it. So I knew it was good. If a fish is willing to bite a lure, then you're good. So just that one, but everything else I've caught a fish on. Okay. It didn't matter if it was a bluegill, crappie, bass, catfish. So and I pride myself on that. Everything's been product tested. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, that's cool. That's that's something I've seen online. It's one of those like cheesy Facebook quote things, and it's like, if you want to support your friend's business, buy their product. Don't ask for it, buy it. Because treat it just like it was someone you didn't know.
A big box.
Yeah.
If I was the Guggen Squad, treat me like that. And those guys, they're making a killing. Right. And they have YouTube, and respect them, but they're making a killing. And that was another thing when I started fishing competitively. Like, I nonstop was watching YouTube, and I was watching actually two guys that are on the pro circuit from Newcomerstown, Hunter and Fletcher Shryock. They both, one fishes the MLF, and the other one fishes the Bassmaster Elite Series. So if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
But it costs a lot of money. So
Right.
sponsors, hey, I'm also looking for 2021 sponsors for this upcoming fishing season. My fishing jersey's a little,
There we go. Plug them.
well, I don't have any
Well,
for 2021.
you could have just got plugged. Think about that.
Hey.
Person with
Yeah,
business.
absolutely.
Insert name here.
Obviously I'm going to do a lot with my business, promoting my business when
Yeah.
I'm fishing. But I'm definitely looking for other businesses to help with the costs, because it does, the tournament fees and stuff do get expensive. You fish twice, maybe 2 times a month. That's $160 a month times you fish, 6 months?
Yeah.
So that's $700-800 a year just in fees.
Right.
That doesn't cost. That's not your travel costs, your hotel costs.
Your
so-
brand new red boat costs.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, hey, if anybody wants to sponsor me a boat, that'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
But now that's for another time. that's not yet. I'm gonna focus on my business is gonna be number one, and then obviously I'm gonna fish competitively, but business is gonna be my main, because you could win $1,000 one month, you can win $10,000 the next. It's not reliable. It's not a reliable source of income for me.
Right.
So and that's why I still have my day job. So I'm gonna focus on my business, try to build that up. And it's definitely, I've learned a lot. I've learned taxes. I've learned.
Oh, I'm still learning. Those,
Oh, it's a lot, but
yeah. But now I actually see you've got a Ryan Robinette
I do.
merch item over there.
I do. It's a koozie, a can koozie.
So shout out Ryan. You made 2 episodes now
Yeah,
without even being here.
And I had just met him. What was that Christmas concert?
Is it the
I
Christmas?
think?
Yeah.
Or no, it wasn't the Christmas. It was their
The first one.
the first one they did. Yeah, and I ran your camera
Just for fun.
you.
The fun concert.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So there you go. If you're looking for a koozie,
Yeah, he
Ryan
gave,
Robinette sells them.
yeah,
So
he gave that one to me. He's an amazing artist, local artist. I like that.
mm-hmm.
And then Eli.
Eli's here. Yeah.
I never heard of him until I
Really?
saw him. Yeah, until I was listening to some of his. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I
See,
mean,
so this thing's paying off. People,
Hey.
we better get in here. We're building brands over here.
hey,
But
that's the way to do it.
yeah, that's we always like supporting Ryan's stuff here. He's a good friend of
Absolutely.
friend of me, I guess. I want to say friend of the show, but that doesn't. I mean, it's stupid. Doesn't
He's a friend of the productions.
of the productions, but he's more than that. He is a friend.
Right.
When you say that, it's like real it's like businessy and I'm like corporate, and you're like, yeah.
You're not a corporate guy, are you?
Oh, don't even get me started on that. I hate red tape.
Yeah.
And anything that stops me from doing what I want to do with my business or my money. And I think a lot of business owners are like that.
Yeah. Oh, trust me.
But I see, like I have people, saying, and I get it. Like some people want to do they want more of the office side of stuff done.
Right.
And it needs done at some point. Don't get me wrong.
It's all about having fun, though. As long as you're having fun, you're not working.
Yeah.
And I enjoy my business.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's where I want to get into the more businessy side of it. But at the same time, like right now, we're doing okay. I mean, granted, there was a pandemic, but
we're still in a pandemic.
Yeah.
And that's
right. And so I would love to have an employee handbook and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
But at the same time, I don't want the ramification that come. Like, how often am I going to hire someone?
Right. You don't want that. The orientation. It's like I get it.
Yeah.
You know?
And now I guess maybe for some of the freelance stuff, so like it'd be nice to have like a sheet, not a whole book, just like a sheet where it's like, hey, here's the shots you want to get at a game,
At a
or
football game.
or
Yeah,
like here's what's
absolutely.
expected. You can sign this out, sign this in, this stuff. But outside of that, I'm just like, just come to, and actually the UFC. Do you watch any UFC? Yeah,
Conor
you
McGregor.
So like I think of what's his name? The guy that owns it.
Dana White.
Dana White. I'm sorry, Dana, if you're listening. No, but I think of him, that's his business.
Oh,
now,
absolutely.
Granted, there's people hitting each other, so there is a lot of red tape in it.
Oh yeah. Oh
But
yeah.
it's-
The insurance has got to be outrageous.
Yeah, but there's so much less than a lot of like like for example, like the World Boxing Commission or whatever it is. I was looking at differences between them and like the UFC, and some people were like, well, WBC is so boring right now, and
there's just no fans. They still fight.
And well, the reason there's no fans, the fights are boring because there's so much red tape involved with it, where it's like, well, this guy needs to fight this guy to get here, and whereas like Dana White's like,
just let him fight.
Screw it, these two guys, they hate each other, put them in the ring. Like, and so he controls what's going on.
Right.
And, I'm not the UFC, but I like being able to like be in like.
You're in charge.
I'm making the call. Like if I want to do a podcast, I do a podcast. I'm not
if I wanted to make a certain lure, I make a certain lure.
Exactly.
A certain color, I do it. And I like that. My wife tells me all the time, you just can't handle authority. You just need to be your own boss.
I can't handle authority.
And I can handle to a certain extent.
Right. Yeah.
I can, but I'm just like, I'll be my own boss. I want to make my own hours. I want to, do that kind of stuff. And that's just the way that I am. Yeah.
And I, like, for example, if, like, say I wasn't in charge, say I was the owner of this business.
But you weren't in charge.
There's people I would have to go through. Like, say we have HR, and HR is probably necessary, but like marketing and, someone in charge of my budget, basically.
Oh,
you know how many of my
go over the budget
my
so many
purchases
times.
would be denied all the time.
Yep.
They'd be like, you don't need, and I don't want to sound like I'm buying stuff but like the podcast stuff, like I can see a vision in this, that what it can be. But if you say, hey, I need to buy mics, I need to buy, more equipment that costs X amount of dollars, they'd be like, well, no, they just see the money. They don't see the vision, and
you know who my HR and budget manager is?
Your wife. Yes. And see, I'm not to that step yet.
Well,
so I get a little more free reign.
Yeah. Well, hey, to each their own. But I was looking at a different mold that I wanted to buy, and I said, hey, this would be awesome. And she's like, well, how much is it? And I was like, $60. And she's like, no. It's like, well, come on. I think I could sell these. This would be cool. This is something different. She's like, no. I'm like, all right, fine.
Yeah.
Fine. I'll just sell what I have.
And so I think it just comes back. I've said this, I think 2 episodes in a row now, but it's going to be 3. It comes back to how I was raised.
Yep.
I was good in school. I was a good kid. I don't want people to think I was like this rebel that like, I was a good kid.
I was good to a certain extent.
Yeah. Not even, I was just a very good kid, I think. But as I got a little older, still a good guy. Like I like doing stuff for people and all that. But I got like almost tired of like in school, I'd still get good grades because you have to finish school.
Right.
But I was so tired. I'm like, I don't need to know this. Like, how is this going to help me? How, like...
Oh, trust me. With my wife being a public education school teacher, I hear it all. Yeah, I hear the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah.
And I respect... When I was younger, I was like, oh, this is stupid. I don't need to learn this. But now I'm like, she comes home, she tells me something. I'm like, well, those kids need to learn that. They need to know that.
Yeah.
God forbid, you get into a job that you don't need something, but then you go to another job and you need that.
Right. And that, it does come down to, and I like to think of it as like, if you didn't do something, it could be something small even. If you didn't do something in life, whether that was take a class,
right,
read a book, would you be, you might not even think about it, but would you be doing what you're doing or be as good at it for something you don't even think of? Like, did reading that book in freshman year
matter.
make a difference? You'll never know.
Unless you do it, or
right? And so I always like to think back to like my first year at college. Like I went to Arizona State. I was in the honors college, and well, honors just means you pay more. It doesn't. It means nothing else. So
it means nothing in life.
No, and so I was. You have a little bit of a bigger room, nicer food, whatever. You're basically District 12 of the Hunger Games.
Yes.
But, I went, yeah, or like, whatever. Sorry, District 12 is probably the worst one. But
well, no, that's where they.
The people with all the fancy hair.
That's the capital.
And yeah, the capital.
Don't ask me how I know that.
Well, I should have known. I've seen the Hunger Games.
I've seen them all.
Yeah. but
there's more to me than just fishing.
Hey, we'll get to it. We're starting to segue into it a little bit here. But how I get when I was in the honors college, we had to take this class called the human event, and I don't know. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out if that, actually, because it was a very like challenging class,
Right.
And it was only for like the honors students, but all it was you'd read, and I hated reading. I could not stand reading books. I don't know if I can watch a video about it. Why would I read a book about it?
Hey, I'm the same
And
way.
I'm sure there's someone out there really mad right now. They're like,
oh yeah,
you can paint your own picture with the book.
Your
I'm
English
like, well, I can
teachers.
see exactly what he wanted me to see on the video. I'm sorry.
Your English teachers.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Valentine. He'll be texting me because he listens to him.
Oh yeah.
But I know basically all we did was read different religious texts, right? And I was like, but you could tell even now. Granted, Arizona State's a very big college, and I'm I'm anti-college to an extent, not completely.
I think education is good for those that are, that learn better from education. But I also believe in the trade schools.
Yeah, and we talked about that a little bit. But I think it boils down to what type of learner you are. Me, I'm very, as a kid, I would get a brand new, remote control car for Christmas, and it would be torn apart in minutes. Not literally, but I would unscrew everything.
Yep.
Where does this wire? What is it? Now it'd never get put back together. It'd just lay there in pieces. But I was always like curious about, well, what's this? What is it? And
very hands-on.
Just hands-on. I want to learn it myself. And there are other people that learn way better from sitting in a class.
Yep.
Having someone tell them information. And I guess I'm making it sound horrible, but like.
I mean, my wife was that way. She just, she loves education. She loves learning. And that's, one of the reasons why she became a teacher, is just that learning. And I'm over here like, I'm not that way. Like, I believe education is important. I believe, kids need a structure when they're younger. But high school, let them make a choice for themselves, Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes they're not mature enough to make that choice. Because, you've got kids that are, I'm gung-ho, I'm going to do this, and then they sit on the couch for, 6 weeks. But then you've got kids that are real go-getters. But like I said, I believe education is important. I'm just like you. I didn't finish school.
Yeah.
And I'm not anywhere near the field.
So basically anything we're saying right now, you cannot take it with a grain of salt because it's two biased opinions on not finishing college. So
yeah, I'm nowhere near doing what I went to school for.
Right.
So mine was very.
Well, yeah. What did you go to school for?
I went to school at Washington State, and funny story about that. I did not want to go to Washington State. I wanted my older sister. She'd went to a 4-year school in North Carolina, Western Carolina University, Catamounts. Go Catamounts. Oh, yeah. So I was like, well, I want to go to a 4-year school. I can go to Muskingum or Kentucky Christian University or Western Kentucky, just somewhere out of Ohio. Mm-hmm. Well, I wasn't mature enough. According to my mother, I wasn't mature enough. So she bribed me with a puppy.
Oh, that's tough.
So, yeah I mean, but, it was
I really want a puppy.
4-year education or a dog,
Right.
So I chose the dog. So I went to Washington State, and I went for police, like to be a police officer. So I was going to go and get my associates in criminal justice with a focus on the OPATA course. And I went through the first 2 years, then I was going to enter the police academy. So I went, it was the end of the first semester of the academy because they did it separated. I went in the evenings. And the commander, heck of a guy, great guy. All the people that I went to school with, all the educators, wonderful people. And then the guys I was in the academy and girls that I was in the academy with, wonderful. But it wasn't me.
Yeah. No, I feel it.
So I left and went into the oil field there.
Okay.
So as soon as it was 2015 to 2016. Yeah, that's when I left school. Didn't, just dropped out. And I think if I wanted to, I could go back. And I've talked with my wife about going back to school, but it's not going to be for, criminal justice. I want to go and get a business degree, market myself. Yeah. Because that's huge in the fishing industry, is marketing yourself. You got to know how to do that, when to do that, what to say, things like that. So I talked with her about that, and that's fairly recent. So that's an option for me, is to go back and get a business degree or something, a marketing degree. But yeah, it wasn't for me, so I dropped out. I have like 2, if I wanted to go back, if I get this, in my vein that I want to go back, I have to take 2 classes and I'll have my...
Right, yeah.
I was so close.
I think I'm really... See, I don't know. I almost don't want to know, just in case it is that. But I should preface, because from episode 1, we talked a little bit about college and stuff. So this last semester, I actually went and I got my real estate certificate.
Oh!
So, and I want to save a lot of this for episode 4, because...
Absolutely.
Tagging episode 4 a little bit, but Mark Coca, he is... Do you know Mark at all?
I don't know him.
Know of him, kind
I
of.
know of him.
You saw his picture on my Facebook page.
Yeah, that.
Right, but no, he's a real good guy. He's about our age, and he has his real estate license as well as his own. He does detailing and all this stuff. So,
oh yeah.
But I did get my real estate certificate. So basically, all I need to do is go take a test, and I can go sell real estate. I want to do it for myself, just in case I wanted to get into that at some point. And
well, you can even use real estate with you could take videos and pictures.
Yeah, right. And there's a lot and I've actually done some of that, where I've taken pictures and video for other, real estate companies. But if I do that for myself, it's, I guess you're saving a little bit of money, but you know what you want, and so you can really tailor your sales to you.
Absolutely.
And so I think getting that isn't going to pay off for a while, but I do have some form of certificate from a college, you did it. Right, I did it. And I think I did more than that. I think I probably, if I went and looked, I could probably throw together like an associate's, like just be like, it's general business, right?
Right.
But I don't know. I got through about two and a half years, maybe 2 years, plus whatever I did in high school. So
yeah, you guys had
dual enrollment, college.
See,
whatever.
I did none of that. I was in high school. I was mainly focused on sports.
Yeah.
I wasn't very good.
I feel it.
Basketball. Main sport was soccer.
Mm-hmm. I wish we had soccer at Meadowbrook. That would have been. We need to get soccer, and we need to get
like lacrosse or something.
We need to get ultimate frisbee.
Oh.
I don't even remember how to play, but I will come coach ultimate frisbee at Meadowbrook.
Hey, I'll coach fishing team, and you can coach ultimate frisbee.
We'll start all the weird sports at all the schools.
Hey, that's fine.
We'll have to get. Actually, we should get. Speaking of Caldwell area, we need to get the Apex guys on here.
Absolutely.
We need to get Kyle and Taryn and have them talk about the esports side of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that was awesome. I saw. I'm a 2013 grad from Caldwell, and they just had esports, and I'm like, well, dang, I played video games. I can.
Yeah, right.
Some of these kids, though, I'm like, yeah, nope, not doing it. Not playing against you.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good thing. I know a lot of people, especially when we were in high school, really more when we were in middle school, I think, was more, you play video games, you nerd.
Yep.
It wasn't that big of a thing. But now, obviously, everyone plays video. Everyone. I don't care who you are. Twitch, Mixer. Well, we got stuff falling all over the place behind us. Oh, well, you can't see it on camera. Well, yeah, you can. It's poking in there. But I think, at that time, is like, you're just playing video games. You're not doing anything with your life. You can make really good money now.
Really good money.
I mean, if you really put your mind into it, and it's the same thing as any business. You just got to commit to it.
Right. Absolutely.
But if you're willing to put in that time, and people are like, you're just playing video games, it's just, you're not working. Same thing as anything. You're working.
It's working.
So the way I like to think about it is we do a lot of like basketball tournament stuff too.
Yeah.
You probably had to experience this too a little bit because you filmed the fair with us, the live streams.
That was, whew,
yeah,
that was a long day.
Riveting content, right? Just,
Well, hey,
but
I'm from Noble County, man. The highlight was the fair.
no, and I said that, and then I was like, okay, let me walk it back a second because that's not what I mean. I personally have never been to any of that. I've never been to the shows. Like,
really?
When I went to the fair, I was riding upside down in the twister, and
see, I did a little bit of both.
Right, but I was never I never was really introduced into that side of stuff, so
right.
I didn't really have any like interest in it or anything. But it's cool to see, like, because I'd be walking around, you saw me running around. Oh, is this one working? Is it? But I would run around and see like people like I didn't know were even interested in that. And I'm like, oh, like this is a really big deal. Like
we got a lot of, COVID aside. I mean, I know they tried to not have large crowds, but people they showed up.
Yeah.
I was working the hog show for you, and they just showed up and they were all along, and I'm like, okay, well,
right.
Didn't expect this, but here we are.
Yeah, but I did have a lot of people happy that I had people that were like, I hope they do this every year because, they said,
family
as a grandma or a grandpa, we'd go and we'd sit at the pig show, but we have 7 grandkids. 2 of them would be doing goats, and they said now we just sit in our house in our recliner and
watch
next.
Yep.
Oh, goat show, you're on. So I think it did help a lot of people, but I would love to do that year over year.
I would love to help you with that. That's all. It's long days, but it's
right.
worth it in the end.
Right. And I guess
people are like, and they don't see the behind the scenes of it.
No.
And it's.
And you don't think it's an active job, and sometimes it's not. You're standing a lot.
One day I was.
You were. Where was that? Was that the pig show that you were standing for a while?
Yeah, well, the pig show, and then I think it was the dairy cow. I was the pig show in the morning, and then I had like an hour break to go set up at the dairy cow show, and I was there. They did a bunch of other stuff other than dairy cows, but I was standing for, it was probably 8 hours. Mm-hmm. And it's just a subtle movement of the cameras, but 8 hours standing.
Yeah, no, so we do GBA tournaments.
Yeah.
And we will go live stream 13, 14, sometimes 12-hour days. So technically a little longer because we'll get up at 6 just to go set up.
Right.
We'll be there at like 7 something setting up. Game start at 8. You might be there till 8 p.m. sometimes. And sometimes it's every other game. Most of the time it's every game because you're there and it's live. You're sitting there and you're like, I'm just sitting, like, yeah, sure, it might be, but you have to just be active enough
just to wear you
like,
out.
Oh my goodness. You can't see my hands, but like you just sit there and you just move this thing just this much, but your arms in the air. You have to, unless you can really get your arms up a little bit. Oh, they're coming down the court. Oh, they scored. I gotta look down, type in my score, and then look back up.
Yep. And see, I didn't have to do that. And I mean,
you're getting off easy. So I think, with the high school sports, it's not bad because it's 1 game or 2 games. If you're doing JV, you're done in 2-3 hours.
Right.
The tournaments
is what gets
are
you.
just, and it's one of those things where, and Tommy will probably rip me, Tommy Strasser. So your announcers are sitting beside you. And, I almost think their job is easier. And I'm sure they think our job. But they get to sit there and watch basketball and just talk. And now, granted, we're doing this. And this is active. We're talking and you have to think a lot about what you're doing. But to have, you're just, your hands aren't doing
They're doing something that they love.
Right.
And it comes natural to them.
Yeah. And I guess technically I should be doing something I love when I'm doing, but it's almost physical. Whereas they're sitting, the most they might be doing is writing stats.
Stats, right?
But your arm is up
constantly
all day, moving, and it's just enough to where you have to be active the whole time,
right?
to where it's like, it's not only
a 30-second timeout.
Yeah, it's not just your arm. It's like your mind because you're keeping. Did I get that score in? You're just like in the game the entire time, and that
it's
over a 10 to 12 hour day. I guess I don't tell him too much, but like John, I'm sure John Ferguson's listening. GBA guy Jeff, you might be listening too, but they might get on me. But you know, we have door people that will take tickets and stuff at events. I think, you know, I don't think I'll ever get that opportunity, but I think I would love that job.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you'll have a flood of people at the beginnings of games.
Right.
But you get to just sit there.
Count money.
And now, granted, that sounds pretty easy. I'm making it sound a lot easier than it is, but like with the video, you're active the entire time. I mean, there's no real time off, you know, fishing. Versus like,
and I'll tie that into fishing, man.
Yeah.
There's no time off. Absolutely. And like the tournament prep's unreal, you know, and if I get bigger with pro and go pro and be a pro fisherman, professional angler, you're constantly doing interviews and writing an article for a magazine or, you know, and that's with anything professional is you're always in the light.
Yeah.
And you always have to be on your A game because one little thing can.
No, I've learned that. And I don't like want to get like, I hate like talking about like myself sometimes, but honestly, the idea for this podcast was like, I need to be in front of the camera more. You know, people know our brand. They know we do sports.
They don't know you.
They don't know me. Some of them do, and you see me occasionally here and there. But I wanted people to be able to hear me talk, be able to, you know, empathize. I make that sound like I'm like in this horrible position, but you know, be able to feel like my emotion versus just like, oh, he's just a brand. This is just a video. I can like.
It's more than just a company.
Yeah,
a brand.
And I want people to see the person behind it. And
absolutely,
honestly, I did it to push myself a little bit out of my comfort zone.
Right.
Because I don't mind talking, especially when we're talking, you know, all this kind of stuff. But outside of like this and being on, you know, your brain wise at an event or something, I am like the most like shut off person. Quiet. I hate talking. Miranda, I don't know if she's still here, but she hates like when she'll talk to me. She's like, why don't you ever say anything back? I'm like, there's nothing to say. You know, like I'm just one of those guys where I'm like,
I used to be like that.
And it's just I get it, but I'm just so like turned off. Not like, you know, whatever, but not like that.
PG-13.
Like whoa, we're at the end of the podcast. We can say what we want, right? Or near whatever, the back end. But I just feel like it's, you know, I'm always on in front of people and they see like this anime, but I would rather sit there in silence than and there's some people that like hate that and they're like, Miranda, she hates like not having anything going on. Like she wants to be talking. She wants to be like, she's bored. And I'm like, when I'm bored, I'm happy.
Right.
You know, like
you're just at peace. Like you're not thinking about anything. And like, especially like as a business owner, it's like, if you're bored, that's good. You know, you're caught up on things. And that was another thing that I learned is like, I have orders constantly, you know, and it's like, okay, I get these done for the day and then I'm ready to go to bed. But my mind is still continuously like, okay, you got to fill this out. You got to fill this order, this order. And there was one time, I was like 10:30 at night, almost 11, and I had an order pop up. And I was laying in bed with my wife, and we were watching something on Netflix, and it popped up, and I was like, I gotta fill this at 11:30 at night, or 11 o'clock at night, and I was like, and she's like, you know, people, you know, you can take a break, you know, you can, you know, and I'm like, well, I gotta do it, and so I've learned anything past 9 o'clock that comes in, wait till the next day.
Yeah, and I'm starting to learn that because we would do some things like certain events or certain, you know, sports stuff where we would say, hey, we're going to have this out the next day, you know, or whatever it is. And it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But when you're starting out and you're just a new business, you want anything you can get. So giving that ambition or that service to someone, you're like, this is like what's going to sell people on it. But then you realize once you get to this point, you're like, oh, I have 700 things to do. I can't turn that around in a day. Like that's
Right.
insane, but so you start to learn that you do have to pick and choose your time. And I'm still learning that where I'll be in here till 12 sometimes, just sometimes working, sometimes not.
Well, see, and that's another thing. Like, that's a good thing for me is everything's at my house.
You're right.
So, or my apartment. I'm not going to tell you where I live because that's another story too. Oh my goodness. But everything's there. So, like, if something happens, I get an order. I fill it. Put it outside for the mail lady. Bless her soul. Bless her heart, man. Oh, there was one day I think I had 4 or 5 packages, and I had scheduled because I didn't know. I'd never shipped anything. I mean, I have, but I always took it somewhere. And so I was like, well, is she gonna come back here? Do I need to schedule it? And then the one day I had 4 or 5 packages. She picked them up, and then we got to talking, and she's like, oh, you don't have to schedule anything. I'll just drive back. If there's anything out front, and then if there's not, then obviously. I was like, well, crap.
That's easy.
Yeah.
See, I still run everything to the post office, but we don't ship too much. But it's so interesting to start a business and learn it's fun learning the business, because you start out and you're like, we're going to do this and this and this, and we're going to be great at this. And you are for a little bit, and then you always look at other businesses.
And you're like, oh, I can do that.
Well, and you look at them, you're like, I wonder why they don't. So, me being very hard-headed and hating establishment and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I would always look at a business growing up, or even still, and I'm starting to learn. But I would look at them and I wonder why are they like this? Why don't they do this? Why is this so? Why are they so adamant about this and not do this when people say it? And then I'd go do it, and I'd be like, I can do that. And then I'd go do it, and I was like, this is horrible.
Right.
This is no wonder they don't do it. No, and that's why going back. That's why I wanted to do this podcast. Is it gets me more personable, me more personalized versus. Because I would have
the big corporation, the big production companies.
Yeah, and I would have people, just be like, "This sucks," and I'm like, "I know, we're working on it," but
oh yeah,
and
I have no audio.
Yeah. Oh, I don't want to get into start with all because people get offended, but I mean, do you remember? Did I tell you at one of the trail games, someone messaged me and said,
weren't they hearing Meadowbrook?
They were
audio?
hearing the Meadowbrook game during the trail game, and I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't make any sense at all. And now it's fixed, so on our end, you're not going to hear that anymore, thankfully. But all it was they were, we had both games on the same screen,
right? And you were hearing both.
So the other one was just playing, and that's what I'm starting to learn too. Is I know a lot about tech and the websites and stuff, and not a lot. Which
I'm still learning.
Yeah.
My website needs a revamp, Caleb.
And some, I don't know if I can take on another website. I've got a lot of websites.
I'm not saying you have to take it on. Just help me out.
Yeah, we'll teach you. And so I'm trying to, understand that, not everyone knows everything about the sites and everything. And, some people don't even think, well, maybe, it's almost like a troubleshooting process where it's they don't have any of that knowledge where it's they can go in and troubleshoot something versus I can change it on my end and it makes it easier for everyone. I'm not getting the calls. They don't. But, to me at the time, it was just so simple to be like, oh, just scroll down and just pause it. But they don't know there's another web browser. I know that because I put it there. They don't know that. So it's starting to understand and looking at it from an outside perspective where it starts to make more sense. And that's with anything.
Right.
But that was, and I still do that sometimes where I'm like, well, I'm just going to do this because they don't, and it's going to work. And sometimes it does.
Right.
Sometimes it doesn't. And that's when it starts to be, that's where you start to differentiate yourself. And that's something you might start to learn too is, what can you do differently that someone else can't?
Right.
What is making you better than someone else? What puts your product ahead of someone else's? And so prices.
Right now, that's what I'm. And that's what I am hella good at. Well, that's my prices. They're lower than your top brands, and even though I am small, I'm a small business, shop small, but my prices will beat anybody's. Now, some of the quantities, obviously I can't compete with for their prices. Some of they're selling, I know my Senko worms that I have, I put 4 in a package. Now, most companies will put 8, 8 to 12. And I'm like, well, okay, but I'm selling them for 4 for $2.50. You're selling 8 for like $7. So it evens out on my end. I'm still selling at a lower cost. Yeah, you get less, but the quality, I feel, I'm, my quality.
Superior.
Yeah. With any business, and some of the companies, I'm not dogging any companies, I still use their products. I'm not going to just solely use mine, which, I mean, in 2021, I think I probably will.
Yeah.
Just because I know they catch fish and I want to be able to say, this is what I did this year. I fished with only my stuff. This is what my accomplishments.
You can start a TikTok.
I actually do have a TikTok.
Every guest we've talked about TikTok, and I haven't gotten the TikTok bug yet. I can't. I thought about it and I can't do it, but you got a TikTok?
I do, but I only have 2 videos on TikTok. One of them is my puppy. He's Benny. He's a Lhasa Apso. He's 3 or 4 years old, and it's see how your dog reacts to the sound, and he's a crying puppy. And a lot of the videos I'd watched on it were, dogs were turning their heads and stuff, and I was like, I wonder if my dog would do that. So I put the sound up, videoed. He did it. And then the other one, like I said, I only have two videos. The other one's a flipping challenge, flipping a jig with a reel into like a plastic cup.
Oh.
So yeah, it's 15 yards maybe.
Huh.
I flipped just a
we'll
jig.
We'll have to up that. We'll have to get you up to 25.
I don't know if I can do that. I'm not that good at flipping. 15 yards is about as good as I can get. And, I mean, I'll get there eventually. I mean, practice. It just takes practice. Learning different style of flipping, weights, setting your reel to do this, practice with that. And like that's the big key thing with that is learning your reel and how it works.
Oh, that's another good point on the fishing side. Is actually, I know, obviously, like this is a very outside perspective, but if I want my cast to go really far, but I don't want it to sink to the bottom of the lake and hit a rock, what do I do? Like where's the middle ground between like too heavy and too light? I guess on like,
what are you trying to fish? Like,
see, I don't know.
Well, there's a
I'm a show
different.
guy. I want to
watch a video and know how to do it.
Well, not even that. I want to stand there. I don't care if I catch fish. I want to look cool. I want to cast it 50 yards out into the lake, which is right.
It's possible.
But that's what I want. I don't care if I catch anything. I want to stand beside Ethan while he's catching fish.
And just cast it 50 yards.
And just be like, look at my cast. And just, I'll take my time. I don't need it. I'm not in any hurry. I'm not. But is there certain, like, if say you're wanting to cast farther, what kind of weights, so sinkers and stuff should you be putting on versus what's too much?
Too much? I mean, the highest I've ever went on weight wise is 1 ounce.
Now, see, you're already ahead of me because I measure mine in how many sinkers I'm putting on.
So like I said, the heaviest I've ever went is 1 ounce, and it probably went 25 yards.
Okay.
But I know guys.
So you're saying we could do the challenge?
Oh yeah. But if I have to have 1 ounce, 1.5 ounce probably,
or
to flip,
we could just special effects it. How about that?
We could.
I mean, we have the ability.
Just cheat, right?
Yeah, we'll put it in.
Get
have
views.
You pull it out real fast and make it. We'll just put it in reverse.
There we go.
You can just like some of the. Have you seen those guys that flip like discs into like CD players? And
yeah.
Those are all
there's no way.
Well, some of them are real, but most of them aren't. But like a lot of that stuff is just played in reverse, and if you look real hard, you can kind of tell. But
Yeah.
sometimes you can't.
I'm like, well, that's the thing. Like, I'm like, how the heck do they do that? I have no idea.
Yeah.
And but no, if you're wanting to cast really far, just it's heavier weight, but then it dials down
Get to the gym a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, working out too.
Yeah.
That staying
2021,
fit.
new year, new me.
Yeah,
Right?
well, it's the same me, but definitely weight and then just equipment. That cheaper equipment, like we discussed earlier, the cheaper equipment's not going to be able to cast as far as the higher end.
Are you talking reels?
You're reel.
rods?
You're reel. The rod's not all that important unless you're
Okay.
catching fish. Just flexing the rod and stuff. But your reel and line, there's a million different line combos you can do. But your reel, you want to have, I shouldn't say a higher gear ratio reel. I have 1-to-1 gear ratios. I have 5.7 to 1. I have an 8-to-1 gear ratio that casts far. But I really hardly ever use it because I'm up on the banks, fishing banks. So it dials down to equipment when you want to cast far, just the way it works. So it's a little different in that sense. She was here.
Now she's gone. I don't know if they heard that ding or not, maybe. But we just had an exit from the premises. I always get that. People hate when I get premises. I don't know what that is. That's something.
Is that a
else.
word?
Probably not.
We didn't go to college.
It's
We didn't
Appalachia.
graduate.
We can say what we want. No, but that's I've always, I don't know. Even that bait caster, I can get some things that whatever I used in South America, that guy had it tuned.
Set.
I mean, I was casting them, but here I'm like, I don't know. I've got this line on it. I hope this works. And like weight wise, and everything versus like, what is it? Like filament versus braided or what?
Well, mono
what?
You've got mono, fluoro, trilene.
Mm-hmm.
You've got braid. Those are your main ones. I use braid and fluoro.
Yeah. What is
fluorocarbon?
Is there perks to using certain ones over others, or?
Yeah, definitely. Like fluorocarbon, it's more of a stretchier. So like if you go to set the hook, it's not like if you're just fishing on a bank, you're not fishing in cover. Braid is good for like cover, like lily pads and that kind of stuff.
And
because
why is that? Or
it's stronger. If you're in cover, when you go to set the hook on a fish, you're not going to snap your line as to if you were fishing that same cover with a fluorocarbon line. It has more bend, more stretch in it, and you're more liable to break it. So those are the two that I use, but I'm not an expert, so don't quote me on things. Don't say, well, he's wrong on that. This is just what works for me.
And what's the weird, if anything, what's the weirdest thing you've pulled out of the water? Anything other than maybe sticks? I've pulled some sticks out.
Okay, so I wouldn't say we pulled it out of the water. We saw it. It was a squirrel. We were.
Was it dead?
No. We were in a tournament, me and a buddy of mine. We were fishing a tournament, and I actually have a video of it on my phone. We were fishing along this bank, and we saw something come across. And we're like, what is that? And then it got a little closer to the boat, and I was like, I'm going to take a video of it. So I take a video of it, and it just swam in front of our boat, and then it went up on the bank, and it was a squirrel. Like, there's a squirrel swimming. And that was the weirdest thing we'd ever seen on the water. At least I have. And then, I brand new. I bought a Lew's custom speed stick, bait caster combo, rod and reel, and we were out pre-fishing for a tournament. And I go to set the hook on what I think is a fish. It's a fish, and I'm fighting it, and it jerks its head. It's a big muskie, snaps my pole. So it snapped the line, snapped the pole, snapped everything. And then, like I said, the craziest thing I've seen and been on when on the water is the fog. It's rough.
Is it weird?
It's
Just
eerie. It's at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. You're on a calm lake, mind you. It's calm.
That'd be a cool video.
Oh, I mean, it
Maybe.
would. Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. If I was just in the boat.
Yeah.
Like because my partner, he was driving the boat. If I was thinking, but I was scared. Like I was holding on to his, because we were going 30 miles an hour in the ski zone. Couldn't see 10 feet in front of you, so I was scared. But if I wasn't, I'd have been taking a video and been like, this is cool. Because now I look back at it and I'm like, yeah, that was kind of cool. But at the time, nah. I was scared. I was scared. Shoot. It definitely, fishing is an expensive hobby if you make it.
Yeah, and you can do it pretty cheap too. I mean, you can go get a kit at Walmart and probably you can probably get almost the same results, right? I mean, maybe not your top tier, but
I actually just started. We'll say this 18th, so it would have been the 4th. The 4th, I started a monthly lure club. So you purchase it, and it's every month. You get an assortment of lures sent to you. It could be lures. It could be the products I have. I have stickers and vinyl window decals that I just released as well.
Okay.
So all of the stuff, and then it'll have some stuff in it that's not on my website. That's just tailored just to that box or that package, the lure club.
Yeah.
So just released that too. So that's pretty exciting. And then my mom, she bought me a cricket for Christmas. So that's how I've been making my decals and stuff and stickers. And so we're looking at maybe some T-shirts, hoodies, and hats.
That's what I need to get. I'm supposed to be getting shirts for this podcast.
Heck yeah.
I want to give some of those away. But outside of fishing, what are some of your other hobbies? I know you're working a lot.
Music.
Music?
I play music. I play guitar.
So we're 2 for 3 on musicians right now.
I mean, I'm not.
Maybe we'll have to move this podcast to Nashville.
Hey, I'll travel down.
I actually had one of Eli's buddies. Jacob Rice, I think. But he messaged me after we put his podcast out. He's like, I want to come on. I'm like, I'm in Ohio. And he's like, oh man, he thought I was in Tennessee, and I'm like, no, but I was like, and he does some traveling, so I was like, if you're ever up in the area, I was like, I'll put you on the list, so I think we're gonna get a lot of guys, because Nashville is such like a tight community,
right?
You're gonna get a lot of guys that see just their stuff and want to come on just because they were, and so. And
you see that the publicity that they got, and they want that. And then,
Eli, he's already got a fan in you. I mean,
absolutely.
So
I didn't even know. And I was like, oh, he's from Cambridge? He's from this area? Oh, cool. I checked this, I was listening to this music.
Yeah, and like I told him, if we get that 1 million followers or whatever, at some point, that's a lot of followers still. But if we get to that, well, then boom, these episodes, people are going to be watching from episode 1 till whenever.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're going to get the publicity from this, even just as is right now, I think is going to be pretty good once we get it off the ground.
Right.
So,
you just released 1-2 episodes now.
Yeah, so the second one will be out, and our main, the idea is that we can use this. Again, I'll plug it because I'm here, but we're going to be doing some advertising stuff with local businesses if they want, if you're still listening at this point. But if you are a business owner and you want, advertising, we're going to be offering that service to you. That's going to be through, any of our sports.
And I've talked to you about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So you'll
definitely
be on any sports. Yeah, we'll get you in it for sure. Any sports, the podcast. So like before, mid-roll ads, whatever, we'll be able to run those during the podcast. You'll get some advertisement in the area. So you're getting a lot of local advertisement.
Well, that's good. And just like, because I had no idea Eli was from here. Honestly, I didn't know who he was until, I saw, and I was like, okay. I listened to the podcast and I enjoyed it, know, and then I went on and listened to his music, really enjoyed his music. So in that sense, I'm hoping, I can get my name out there. And even if it's just local, I mean, we have 4 or 5 lakes around here that have tournaments, and I've tested my products on these lakes. I know they work. And so they're like, oh, okay, well, he's from here, you know, he's product tested on here, so they work, you know, and so maybe I can get more.
Yeah, we'll have to come out and film you some commercials.
Absolutely, I would love that.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Just do like a small infomercial I can put on my.
We'll run some, and that's actually something that goes with that. The package that we're putting together is, you know, you'll get these opportunities to sponsor, not even sponsor. If you're doing our monthly thing for the advertising, you'll get, you know, you'll be on games, you'll be on the podcast, different things
Absolutely.
like that. But on top of that, we're going to be able to use some of that money that you're paying us to do, you know, Facebook ads.
Absolutely.
You know, we have guys that have experience. I'm the only guy on payroll right now, but we're planning it. So, you know, I can do it, but we also have guys that have just graduated college that know what they're doing pretty well. And we're going to be able to run you guys Facebook ads, get you guys targeted audiences in the area. We'll be able to target,
and that's something
whatever
that
it is.
I've learned too. I've ran a couple ads on Facebook and Instagram for not my Janusik. So I've got my business page, and then I've got my fishing page.
Mm-hmm.
So like where I post content, where I fish, my YouTube videos and such. But then I also have my business page. I've ran both, you know, ads on both, and I've gotten quite a good amount of feedback. I've got a, you know, assortment of people all over the country that have liked my page. And then I had just talked to a guy from Georgia.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Plumano fishing. It looks like it's a saltwater fish. I've never heard of it. He was talking to me about, you know, if my lures would do this, do that. So I was genuinely like, okay, well, I'm going to look this fish up.
Yeah.
So I looked it up, looked the rigs to fish it, and I was like, oh yeah, my lures would catch that. And he was like, I'll definitely check your you know, your website out, and maybe I'll get something from you. So I was like, absolutely, you know.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying it's going to catch you fish on that specific species, and I told him that. I said, the species is different. You know, you have your saltwater and your freshwater fish.
Right.
Totally different. And I said, but what you're wanting it for, it will do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it'll look different. So, and that was the thing. Like, he's like, the Plumano fish. I don't even know how to say it.
Poblano, is it a pepper?
I don't know, but it's a real thin fish. And Pomano, I think, whatever. But he was like, you use like these real vibrant colors as floats and stuff. And I was like, okay. And he was like, you know, I think your lures would make it look more natural. And I was like, well, yeah. I mean, but then they float. And he's like, he said something about he would need it to go through the water column with a weight on the bottom. And I was like, it'll do that. So he kind of like, for me as being a bass fisherman, they have their setup, that fish's species setup. We have it what's called a drop shot, where you have a weight and then it sits in the middle.
Is that the bullet looking one?
No, that's a bullet weight. A drop shot weight.
Well, at least I knew it was a bullet. I didn't know it was a bullet weight, but it looks like one.
A drop shot weight looks like a CO2 canister, like you would put in a paintball gun.
Okay, So, I've heard of it. I don't know if I've used one.
It's a thin weight, and so he's like, this is our setup, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a drop shot in bass fishing. So I was like, yeah, I mean, it'll do that. So he was pretty.
I know there's a Texas rig.
Yep.
So yeah,
you know more than I do.
I read my owner's manual of my kit of bait that I bought from Walmart. So
I've been there.
I'm in it.
I've been there. The Texas rig, drop shot rig, weightless Texas rig, Carolina rig.
Now, see, I know a little bit about Carolina Reapers. It's a little different.
Which you will never get me to eat.
Oh, we'll see.
I'm telling you.
We'll do our best.
No way. But yeah, I think it's definitely my business is kicking off, and it's wintertime in Ohio.
Yep.
So you're not going to get, you know, the Ohio, the northern states, I should say. But
you could throw some ads up and target
southern states. I could.
Florida, all that stuff.
And he was just like the guy I was talking to. He was like, yeah, I talked to a bunch of people, and he's like, I'll definitely mention you to them. And I was like, well, if I can get into the saltwater game too,
right?
You know, not just bass, because my lures have targeted bass. Like that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I also caught crappie and bluegill. I've caught a bluegill the size of my palm. It's that big.
Yeah.
And on one of my lures. And so they catch the species around here. Catfish,
Right.
crappie, bluegill, bass. Now, if I can target and if they work in saltwater, then I'm in a whole different ball game, you know.
And now, see, from a marketing perspective, something you could do is, you know, when you're doing these, you can run these Facebook ads. Now, what a lot of people do is they'll just hit boost post.
Yeah.
And that's easy, you know, because it's just going to, but you can actually go in and target your ads very, very specifically to wherever. But something that might be good for that, for example, might be, you know, just going on Google Maps.
Right.
In these southern states where it's still warmer, even towards the West Coast, finding not necessarily big areas, but like some like semi-remote areas
Or there's
that have
lakes.
these big lakes,
Yep.
right? Just sticking a pin right in the middle of the lake and saying, hey, I want to target people within 25 miles
Right.
of this. And then you can do that for multiple different locations.
Right.
Then run ads on it. That might not be a bad idea because
yep. I've done, but I've targeted age.
age, yeah.
So, and not the U.S. in general. So age and then U.S., but I haven't done specific.
And
This
so
is
you
what I
can
want to
get
target.
real.
See, and
I've done
I'm
some weird
learning.
ones. And you'll learn, but you can, I mean, for example, like I ran a few, and I don't run as many for myself anymore just because I advertise myself.
Right.
But you can do so much with those. You can target people. So when I would run my wedding video ads,
Right.
I would target people that had just got engaged on Facebook. You know, for obvious reasons, but you can, because Facebook knows everything about you. You know, like you're posting, "Hey, I just got engaged," and
Right.
it pops up on every. So you can target engaged for 3 to 6 months, engaged for 6+ months, whatever. So that you know, you might not necessarily want to target people that have just been engaged,
Right.
Because they're not thinking about who's going to be.
Right.
Wedding videography is one of the last things you think about that you would want, but you still want it,
See, I didn't do a video.
Yeah.
We just did photos for ours.
right?
I wish we would have done a video.
See, and that's so a lot of people end up leaving it off their list.
Right.
It's starting to become more prevalent now.
My mother, there was a company, I think it was in Marietta,
Okay.
that she was like, oh, they did such and such's wedding. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. And then we just were like, well, that's a lot of money. Can we afford that? And so we, like I said, we just left it off the list. And now looking back, I'm like, man, I really wish we would have done that.
Yeah.
No.
And so, you know, for us, we would almost, when we were running those, we would target 6 months plus engaged.
Right.
Because that's about, you know, it depending on who you are. So it depends. But
We were engaged for a year.
yeah.
A year.
But then they start wedding planning around that time, you know, and they're like, well, now we need this. And so you can target that. You can target anything, age, gender,
Absolutely.
whatever you want. I mean, it's on there. Sometimes it might have grown since, but I'm pretty sure you could target certain groups.
Yeah.
So like if I wanted to hit people like that were in the Guernsey County buy-sell trade on
Yeah.
Facebook, I could go and, you know, it would show it to those people as well as people that were interested in things just
Absolutely.
like that. So there's so much that goes into the Facebook advertising that, you know, I mean, it just knows so much about you. Same thing as, I mean, Google too. You can do Google Analytics and do the same thing. But it's, you know, if that's something that your business needs or anything, that was the longest plug of my life. But we can do that. No.
Right. Well, and that's adapting and being innovative, and that's what you need in a business, especially like your business and my business. Is I got to come up with new color variations. Mm-hmm. I got to come up with different styles, and that was a big thing too. Was just the startup cost was, I shouldn't say it was expensive. Mm-hmm. Because I got everything fairly at a fairly decent price, but then just continuing, because I can't just melt soft plastics, and you know, I can't reuse other companies, so I got to buy the stuff that I use,
Yeah.
and then just the reoccurring cost of that is in itself, and I've done pretty well. And I've been open since October.
Right. Yeah, I know.
So it's only going to go up. It can't go down.
Right. Well, that's what you pray for, right?
Well, yeah.
But that is.
I'm still technically at the startup stage.
Oh yeah, I think I'm still at the startup. In a tech sense.
Right.
I mean, a lot of industries you are startup for a few years.
Until
to even 5 years, some people are still in the startup phase.
Right.
Because you're putting so much cost into it, you're starting it up. I mean, you're still putting all this money into it, but at some point, if you've got the vision for it, you can see where I've got the product I need, I've got what this is, I know what I need to do here. That's when it becomes sustainable, and I can turn that into money.
Absolutely.
And that's really if someone's looking to get into business, you got to understand that you either have to have the money up front to be able to withstand the hardships.
Yep.
You got to work a second job, or not a second, your main job basically, and then work on your business in your free time. Or you got to be, you really have to have that vision and understand that you're not going to see results immediately.
And that was one thing that I thought was, I'm going to buy all this stuff, make all this, sell it, and I'm going to have all this money. Yeah, no.
Mm-mm.
It's that reoccurring cost because of the way that my business is, the way that the fishing industry is, is you're consistently and continuously buying different.
Right. And that would be your operating costs.
Right.
Keep the business open. And that's something we're learning more about too is, especially with the streaming stuff we're doing now, it's like, we can see a lot of money, but a lot of that's going back to paying announcers, paying, people to go do the broadcast, stuff like that.
If you need somebody to call a game, I'll call a game.
You want to call a game?
I'll call a game.
I will have you for sure. But that's something I've always, not always, I guess, but for this year, that's something I've been looking
definitely
at.
Something that was needed.
Yeah, and we'd been doing a few streams last year, so we did some of the basketball games and stuff, and then going into this, I was like, well, this is the perfect time to get really into it because I know what I'm doing.
Right.
Not everyone does, and so we were able to get started with that. But it's almost, looking at the cost in it, it's very profitable once you get to a certain point.
Right.
Building out to that point, you're either, I look at it as I'm more long term with it. Everything else in life, I'm short term.
This is long term.
The business, that's the one thing I can see into the future with, basically, versus everything else. I'm like, I want it to happen,
Right.
But that, I can see, okay, I've got this, I've got X amount of streams. I'm going to make X amount of dollars. But if I can add a stream here, I can add a stream here.
Right.
That's sure there's more operating costs, but it's still in the same night. You're still doing the same type of work. So it's still a teachable thing, but you're still getting that profit from that one stream in that same. So basically it's a scale thing. The more schools we can do, the better.
Right.
And that's what, obviously the more school, but it does get to a point where there is diminishing returns with it. So at some point it becomes way too much for just you. You either got to bring someone on or you just got to focus on just where you're at. Whereas a lot of people would think,
and that's just growth. I mean,
yeah. And a lot of people would think, I need to make my money up front so that I can. No, you're going to make your money eventually.
Right.
That's what I try to tell people is at some point it will pay off. But, and I firmly believe that if you have, and some people don't, and they think it's, a business successful if it's going to be successful business. I think any business within reason, almost any business can succeed if the vision is strong enough in the person that's running it to make it succeed. If they're willing to put in the time and effort it takes, you can. It doesn't matter if it's a sock company in Cambridge, Ohio. It can work.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's just it's being able to commit to it and putting your effort into it versus someone, some people are successful just solely based because they have some money and they can throw money and it works. Yeah. But oftentimes those will fail because they have no vision. They don't see, and it's great if you have a mix. It's great if you have some money and some vision.
Right.
But anyone can make any business work if you have a vision to do it.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I try to explain to you. I'm like, if you truly believe this is something that's going to work, something you want to do, go do it.
Right. And I've thought about that too. It took me an entire year. Like, I thought about it for a year. I'm like, well, if I do this, then, I got to spend X amount of dollars. I got to get this stuff up front. I researched everything, the cost of molds and the reoccurring cost, your operating cost. What's it going to cost me to do this? And I set out a budget. I have my 5-year business plan, what I want to do. And I firmly believe, I'll make it successful and I'll go as big as I want. And that's another thing. A lot of people are like, oh, you can go all the way to the top. You can be the top. I don't want to be the top dog. Okay.
Right.
There's guys that like companies that have been around for 50 years, and they're the top dogs. I just want to be under them because I can still learn something from them. And that's another thing, like with me doing what I'm doing with my business is like, I'm still learning how to different color variations and stuff. And, my molds are different than other people's. There's some similarities, but they're different. And like the color variations are different. So it was definitely learning experience on how to make it. Melting the plastic smells terrible at first.
Yeah.
Now it's just you put and that was another thing. It was like one of the things that I have seen, like a lot of the bigger companies, what they'll do is they'll buy these big melting pots. They'll pour all their ingredients and melt it, mix it, and have it continuously mixing. Because that was another thing, is like I have to continuously mix it.
Okay.
But I don't have a big melting pot, so I have a microwave.
Yeah.
So everything is done in a 1 cup measuring glass Pyrex measuring cup, mixed, and then I have a small injector. So everything is like, it's real small. I'm not to the big production yet, so it takes me a while to build quantities up.
Yeah.
But I've come to, and I've watched a couple videos of guys where they'll have 4 or 5 different molds in the same, like, I guess I use, what are they called? Gator clips or whatever. I can't. I don't know. Anyway, it's like what you would put 2 pieces of wood together, you glue 2 pieces of wood,
yeah.
and you put it on that. Yep. That's what I use. And I was just doing one at a time. So I would just pour and then pull it apart. That one mold, pull it apart, put it over to the side, let it cool. Then I just did that. And then I watched a couple videos where guys were making 3 or 4 different molds with the same plastic. They're pouring 3 or 4 different molds, and then they were setting it to the side, and then pouring the same. And so they ramped up their production that way. So that's what I kind of did to ramp up production and speed of different molds. Was I just poured everything in like I said, I only have 4 molds, so I put them together and nuked it in the microwave, come out. And I will say, the plastisol, I've heated every one of them to 350 degrees. So that's the required temp for the plastisol that I use. Giving away secrets, not really, but 350 degrees. So there's no, it's very consistent in the texture and the. So I will say I've done that to help, but. Just being able to ramp up production is pretty big for me, building bigger quantities without sacrificing quality.
Yeah.
And that was another thing, was like, okay, there was a couple times where I've had a couple molds didn't mold right. Like the plastic didn't set right, and it would cause holes in it, and it would be air pockets. And I was like, well, do I sell those or do I not? They're not up to par of what I want. So then I would remelt it. But then I'd have to go through, and that was another thing. I don't waste any plastisol. Yeah. The plastic, so I don't waste any of it. Everything gets reheated until it's completely gone. If a lure comes out wrong, it's reheated, but it's reheated to 350 degrees to be consistent. So, I'm not one of those that'll pour 400, lures and then have like 400 other lures that are just trash. Throw them in the trash. Remelt them, and pour them again and see if it helps. And it has. So, but yeah, I definitely have learned a lot in 3 months since I started.
Well, you got a while you got potential. There's so much ahead of you. Yeah.
Yeah, with the business, but I've also, like, the past year have learned tournament fishing and the prep and the agility and the working out, because I'm a little chunky. So, and you actually sold me the BAMF pre-workout.
Yeah. Oh,
I've
good
gotten
plug. Good plug.
I've gotten back into working out, and I'm staying consistent, eating healthy, because that's another thing when you're tournament fishing. You're out on the water. You're going to pack snacks, Gatorade, water, and I like to eat. So I would pack 4 or 5 sandwiches, 4 or 5 bags of chips, and it was all unhealthy stuff.
Right.
And it's like, well, you can't really do that, And so, like, I've started working out again.
So where are you going to the gym at?
I'm not going to any gym. I'm doing everything at the house. Yeah.
See, I started out at home, and then that's when I was real big, and then I started working out at home, running a little bit here and there, and now I'm at a few gyms. But I was, and now I'm getting it's January 18th. Hopefully, I'm looking a little better. But I'm back in the gym for 2021, so that's the goal.
I'm not doing anything at gyms or anything. I did.
Are you in Cambridge? Okay.
Yeah, I live in Cambridge.
Right. The area, the greater metropolitan area.
Yes.
Right?
The greatest place on earth.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, if you're in Caldwell, I know is the Lifestyle Gym, is that in Caldwell? Do you know?
It's actually right on the square.
Yeah. I've seen a lot about it.
She's definitely killing it in the fitness industry.
Well,
she's definitely.
Maybe that's a future podcast guest.
Absolutely.
Right.
You should try to get her on here. She knows a lot.
Right.
She's 21, I think, 21 or 22. She's real good friends with my sister.
Okay.
They went to school together, but she is very knowledgeable on fitness and even business aspect. She's
right. Oh yeah.
Yeah. At 21,
it takes a knowledge on to do that at that age.
She's very smart.
And we're talking about Lakin
Figel.
Figel. I didn't want to say her last name. Or sometimes I've seen it. I haven't heard it. So I want to make sure people know. They're like, who is it? Who? So
Lifestyle Gym. You can find her on social media.
But that's I'll have to get her on here. But I go to CrossFit over here.
Yep.
And I go to the fitness center sometimes over here. But they're both within 0.1 mile of the office. So
right.
So I keep it local, and I'm looking at. I'd love to get like.
Anytime Fitness just opened.
I saw that. Yeah.
On the other
there's just so many gyms, and it's just like it's in the middle. Like it's if that's what you want, great. But it's away from Byesville. It's away from. That's why like anything that's really in between there. I don't know. I don't feel like it usually works. Like restaurant wise, obviously like Chipotle.
Listen, DoorDash just came to Cambridge, and I have been so happy.
You've been using that?
Oh, absolutely. Dash Pass and everything.
I got to use DoorDash with when I was in Arizona. So like I just DoorDashed to my dorm room.
That's the worst because we got B-dubs last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got
it's rough.
DoorDash.
Yeah, you just order anything.
I was like, oh man, and then I think I've done Wally's Pizza. We've done what else? We've done Taco Bell. We've done quite a few around here.
I know.
So that's also I'm trying to eat healthy and work out.
Right. But when you can just click a button and just
when you can just push a button and have it delivered to you, it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
But we eat healthy. I'm not gonna say we don't. She makes bomb ass dinners.
Yeah.
You can blur that out.
No, I don't. This is the Off the Rails podcast.
Hey, it's off the rails.
We're off the rails to an extent. We got to maintain some sort of social culture, but
yeah, I mean, as far as business and fishing, I know I'm small, and I know I'll get there.
Yeah. But
at the end of the day, it's something that I love, and if you love something, if you're working towards something, if you're working on something you love, you're never working a day in your life. So.
Right.
It's been.
Yeah. And tell the people where they can find you. Social media, whatever it is, give us some plugs, and then
Okay.
we'll tie a bow on this and
All right.
call it it's a day. For them, it's any time. Whatever time it is for you, we're going to call it, right? So
Hey, that works.
give them your social media. I got to run to a basketball game after this.
Oh,
So-
boy.
So we're going to go watch some Buckeye Trail basketball. You can watch it on kgp.tv. You won't watch this one because this is recorded early, but you can watch anything other than that. So give them your plugs, tell them where to find you, any of that information you want people to know.
All right, guys. So you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. I have 2 separate accounts. I have a G's Custom Lures, which is my business. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter for G's Custom Lures. And then for just me generally in fishing and following my fishing journey, you can just find me on Facebook and Instagram under Janusik Fishing. So my last name is Janusik and then fishing. And then I'm sure Caleb will have something with G's Custom Lures here pretty soon.
Yeah.
So you guys can find that and check that out. We'll also be doing a giveaway, so that'll be pretty neat. So,
Yep. So yeah, go ahead.
no, you go
Anything
ahead.
else?
I'm good. That's those are the 2 main channels that I run. So yeah, I enjoyed this. This has been fun.
Yeah, it was a good one. Real good. And so that is Graham Janusik. I'll get it right eventually. So it's only been almost 2 hours, right?
Only.
But thank you guys for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll give you 2 thumbs up. If you're not, you can't see those. Keep driving. So thank you for joining us. Make sure if you're still listening to this point, you're probably pretty committed. So make sure you join the giveaways because those help us. Make sure you're sharing those out. Make sure you share this podcast with your friends. You can do that. You can enter this month's giveaway. It actually ends January 31st. Is a $50 steak and ale gift card. All you got to do, it's really easy. And actually, I haven't checked, but I don't think anyone's done that yet up to this point. Is type in hashtag OTR podcast anywhere you can find us. So Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. I don't know. Leave a comment. We'll see what happens. But for the most part, hashtag OTR podcast. That's going to get you entered for a $50 gift card. I mean, if one person signs up, that's 1-to-1 odds. So you better sign up. Otherwise, you're going to be the guy that missed out, or girl. We have girls that listen. I hope. I don't know yet. I don't have any analytics, but yeah, make sure you guys get signed up. Make sure you're sharing this out. Tell your friends about it. We're going to be bringing on all kinds of people. We're about halfway through January now. So we actually have our February lineup already ready. We'll be releasing that within the coming weeks. So make sure you stay tuned. Again, Graham, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I appreciated it.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have you back on at some point.
Absolutely. Maybe midsummer.
Oh,
midsummer update or something.
Midsummer, I might be chilling. on a beach.
Hey.
I don't know. So we'll see. But thank you guys for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of this. We're going to grow this out, make this gigantic at some point. So, yeah. Now be gone. I don't need you anymore.